Batman animated series is by far my favorite animated show. And in 2023, I did a rewatch video series that went through all of this different episodes, about 60 in total. I'm going to return to that now and pick up where I left off with Shadow of the Bat, a two-part series that introduces Barbara Gordon now as Batgirl. It's exciting and interesting, great twists and turns, and fun experience in case you haven't watched it in a while. Anyway, let's talk about it right now. All right, Shadow of the Bat. Melissa Gilbert as Barbara Gordon returns, but this time she's going to be drawn into this conspiracy that surrounds Jim Gordon. The commish has been framed, and you don't quite exactly know who's pulling the strings for part of this episode, which adds some intrigue and some interesting elements to it. Gil Mason is the deputy commissioner, kind of a little sketchy, kind of skeezy. Everyone's kind of in on it a little bit. Rupert Thorne, of course, has an appearance, and then, of course, we get a big twist later on. We find out really Two-Face is involved, and he's out there. But Barbara Gordon transitioning into this sort of like version of Batgirl is really the story here, and that's what we're going to kind of get into. And I have to admit, Rupert Thorne has always done pretty well. It's kind of this nice gangster-type storyline. It works always really well. Here's the Gil Mason character there working with a Bullock and Gordon to catch them. And of course, he's already been nabbed by the Batman. And there's all little typical jabs and jokes. And of course, we cut back to the cave where we have Bruce and Alfred and then a young Barbara Gordon. She's there talking about Gordon. Now, he's been framed, he's been set up, and now things have gone awry. And poor Barbara doesn't know what to do. She's talking to this DA, and it's just a frame job. And this is kind of an interesting element that is used in different elements throughout the comic book lore, where different characters, not just Gordon, but many of them will deal with the law, a frame job, a setup, a conspiracy, all these kinds of things that have translated pretty good on screen. But really, this episode kind of ties that all together well to introduce a big character like Batgirl. So at the rally they're going to have for Gordon, he does a bail type rally. Everyone's going to join some support. She puts on a cowl. She puts on a cape. She pretends to be the Batman. That's right, showing up for her dad and making everyone believe that because Batman is there, therefore Gordon is innocent. Gets the public on their side, tries to do all that, but things start to go sideways when there's a shooting attempt. Robin is there to foil a little bit of that alongside of her. And then you have sort of a, who is this Batgirl? What's going on type situation that's kind of unraveling around them. But then whenever things get a little weird, Gil Mason takes her back to his place, and they find out, oh, wait, this is actually one of the thugs that she identified when she was pretending to be Batman. She was Batgirl, and that battle was taking place. And, of course, that leads them back to this place where Bruce is in disguise. He's on the trail as well and becomes face-to-face with, pun intended, Two-Face. I know it's a little silly, a little cheeky to bring these kinds of things up, but this is the kind of stuff that gets in there. And when you see these episodes so many times, you start to pick it up and you realize in the very beginning of this episode, that's right, that first minute or so, right after the intro comes in, they're going to move a nice pan shot over and you see this metalworks building and you look at this formation. Basically, it's an art form of it's a metal bat. If you will see, look, the body is there. The two pieces are going up like this with the eyes and stuff. So it looks like a metal bat hung upside down right there. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the I Spy type stuff that I see when I watch these episodes. Well, this episode ends on a cliffhanger with Two-Face. He pulls up, of course, the scarred coin, and it's not going to bode well for old Bruce, who's in disguise. Of course, as I mentioned, he's undercover, if you will. And I will admit that it's sort of like played a little cheeky to put Batman sort of in the back like this, like kind of put him on the shelf so he won't be center stage because they got to focus on Batgirl. But hey, that's the way you got to go sometimes. All right, when part 2 kicks in, Robin's like trying to figure things out. He's got to go out there on his own. He's got to figure out where is Batman, is everything okay? And, I like the fact that, you get Robin like, hey, listen, I got to go to work, puts on the utility belt. I thought that was actually a nice little feature that you don't get to see in the animated show very much. And he kind of dismisses her pretty quickly. And I will say that is kind of an element that does play out pretty well throughout the comic books as she learns to kind of fend for herself. And of course, you have more of, oh crap, they're actually face to face with Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, and they actually kind of have their hands full. Plus, Robin knows he's got to figure out how to do all of this and keep Bruce's identity under wraps, and that even is from Batgirl. Whether she wears the Bat moniker or not, she's not like official. She doesn't know Bruce's identity or anything at this point. So all of that is again stuff that plays out very, very well, lends itself very well to the overall mythology from the comic books. And we get just good stuff. We just get Batman. Bruce gets rescued, gets into his bat gear. They find that they're under this subway area that's flooding. Batgirl's part of it, but they got to figure out how to get away and figure out how to save Gordon. Well, Gordon is going to be set up as well by Two-Face's people because they got to make it seem like he's on the take. They got Bullock. Bullock is there as well. And this, again, it's Batgirl centric. We've got to figure out how to put her in a position where she can save the day, save Batman and Robin, ultimately save the good name of her dad, Jim Gordon. Not an easy task for the young heroine. And I will say, if there is any disappointment elements to this, it's the fact that it seemed really difficult for Batman and Robin, especially Batman, to come up with a solution of how he's going to get out of harm's way for this one. It took way too long, but they're trying to keep him on the sidelines so they can be setting up this whole Gil Mason Two-Face thing. And he actually had figured out that, she's Barbara. The animation at times doesn't always lend itself to the best of things, but I will say it's a fun episode, and I have a good time with Two-Face episodes. To be perfectly honest, he's actually just a great villain. It always just turns out well. And the issue with this show is it never stops being good. It's just so well done. The animation, the music, the lighting, all of that, it's just fantastic. So once everybody is engaged and everyone's throwing fists and there's all this sort of action, that's when you end up with Barbara confronting Gil on the boat. He gets a hold of her, pulls the mask away, sees who it is. But when he goes over the side and there's all this stuff, you find out he's actually in a coma. He doesn't remember anything. And then whenever you have the epilogue, if you will, hey, well, you wonder if we'll ever see that girl again, that Batgirl, Bruce? Oh, I think so. And there she is, all smug in the foreground. So I don't know. It felt like a good way to keep the Bat growing. This is marketing as well, right? Tied to toys, tied to comics, tied to stuff. And I think this is why many of us complain about the new iteration, some of the newer stuff that's done. I don't know who you're doing it for. I don't know what you're trying to appeal. It feels just very self-grandizing. It's only about entertaining themselves. They're the party of one that's supposed to be amused by this, whereas this is a show that was just for all of you. Everyone come listen to our great stuff, read our great stories, look at the great art, look at the great animation, hear the great voice cast, hear everything is just wonderful and beautiful about this show. That's what Batman Animated Series is all about. So it was fun. It was great. Who am I kidding? To get back to sharing Batman Animated Series love with you. I've been watching over the last year, even though I didn't do videos, I was rewatching. I probably got about 20 to 25 episodes that we've watched over the course of a year. There's a handful like I Almost Got Him, Heart of Ice, probably Christmas with Joker. The three that the grandkids rewatch regularly, those are the three they ask for. And so I think we've probably seen most of those 2 or 3 times each. And then some of the other episodes I watch throughout the year just because I think they're good. I get in the mood to watch something Clayface. I'll throw in, Feet of Clay. I want to see Riddler, so I'll throw in the Hand of the Minotaur episode, things like that. It's just such a perfect iteration of Batman, and I love to share with everybody. Hopefully I'll be able to do this with you guys more often. Thanks for watching, everybody. I am Pops.